Okay, hello and welcome back to Rome Remastered. We're just about to launch our siege, or our assault on Tarsus. Before we do, we have to acknowledge something went pretty badly wrong in the previous episode, and I didn't really notice it, or perhaps I just didn't want to accept it until after I looked back on it in editing, but Dacia is not our protectorate. I thought we'd bought Dacia as a protectorate, but somehow something went wrong, and it just immediately broke their protectorate status. I think the issue was that we offered them a ceasefire, and somehow offering them a ceasefire seemed to undermine the protectorate status, which I guess would explain why offering them a ceasefire made them so happy, and they thought that was really generous, even though I was also asking them to be the protectorate. Perhaps the game knows that the protectorate status is going to be broken by that. I personally think that's really counterintuitive. I don't know if I'd call it a bug, but I feel like the game should make it more obvious that you're not going to actually get a protectorate when they accept that. So yeah, that's a bit of an annoying situation because we effectively just paid them 7,000 denarii for a ceasefire that we didn't really need. We could have easily just continued to push on them. But yeah, never mind. We're going to probably go back to war with them anyway. I'm not really sure. I've not fully decided. So should we go for a spy or a hoplite here? We've got a spy in the town itself, another spy heading to the north, but we've also got the northwest. So potentially an extra spy could work, but also hoplites are tempting. We don't have the strongest infantry here. We've got a few good units, but not too many. I'm going to go for hoplites, and then we're going to take the spy. We're going to send him to the west. We're going to start moving towards Germania. I think there's definitely a good chance we're going to go toward Germania sooner rather than later. Don't see why not. I'm pretty sure we can take on just about anyone. We're going to send these guys over to the ships, and these guys likewise. Try and board the ships, send these over to Italy, and then we've got a good force here. We're going to retrain these with our newly built city barracks, build some archers, and we can then swap to repair this and focus on something else. So I think I've been putting off building roads. Some of you might have noticed I've been putting off building roads for quite a few episodes. The main reason for that is because the actual impact of building roads on trade is very limited, or in fact non-existent even. But once you build paved roads, on the wrong screen, once you build paved roads, you start to notice a lot more of a difference. So in this case it's 55, which is probably not going to pay for itself before the end of the campaign. I'm being slightly ambitious in saying that, but not sure that's actually worth it. This town is good, but I'm still tempted by my usual shrine to Hermes, and the reason for that is because Capua is a huge city. We are of course planning to take down the Scipii in this episode as well, assuming it doesn't take too long to go for the siege on Tarsus. So Capua, in theory, should be a better town to build military from and go for a strong push from. So I don't know. We could go down the military route again. I think we should definitely build a temple. I've talked myself into it. I love armored hoplites. I think they do so well. Let's just have as strong armored hoplites as possible and start building military temples. Okay, so what else is there to do? We've got 11k left to spend, so we're actually doing okay for money. Like, it was annoying to spend all that, but it's not the end of the world. We are, of course, making... I mean, 15k per turn has kind of been the level that we've been working at for quite a few turns, but we're actually getting income of 61k per turn, so in the grand scheme of things, losing an extra 7k is not a disaster. It's just kind of annoying because this campaign has, on the whole, I've been pretty happy with how efficient it's been. So we're 25 turns in, and we currently control 27 settlements. So we're currently on track to win the campaign in less than 50 turns, which I think would be really nice if we can pull it off. But I still like to make these kind of long-term investments in trade buildings and things like that, and I'm not sure if that's wise in this case, but it still just feels right to me. If I know that something is going to become profitable eventually, I always do like to go for it. So let's get some hoplites here. Let's go back to Ankara, and no, Ankara should be fine. We're going to send these guys to the east. We're going to go into Mazaka. We're going to pick up some basic hoplites, and then over in the north in Sinope, we're going to go for archers once again. Then we can go for any of these buildings. I think I specifically like the idea of going for roads. This time it is just so we can travel more quickly between these three towns. They're clearly going to be our front line for a while, so I think that does make sense. We're already recruiting. So things are looking fine in Asia Minor. I will spend the rest of the gold later on, but I think let's just go for this now. So they definitely got a little bit weaker somehow. They definitely had I'm sure they had an extra unit, or possibly they've lost some numbers. But yeah, so it's going to be Hoplites, a very weak governor, with no attributes whatsoever, 0 command, 0 influence. So he's not going to be a big threat. He's still got 48 men, but for the most part it's going to be Hoplites against Hoplites. It's massively in our favour. Obviously I'm not going to take the risk of auto-resolving this. We've been through that, we're not doing that again. We are just going to fight this manually. Okay, we've got a fairly straightforward route, just straight down the road, and then straight into the middle of the town. In terms of arrow towers, we've got 1 to the right and none to the left, so if we just push straight to the gate, we should be completely fine, completely safe. They have no range units, of course, so they can't really threaten us, and they have actually got 3 units of militia hoplites, or in fact 2 units of militia hoplites, 1 unit of levy pikemen at the front. Levy pikemen, as you can see, do have the longer spears, which is slightly scary, but in my experience doesn't actually make that big of a difference. We should be able to handle these completely fine. They're not particularly great. I think hoplites are definitely better units, even though they are of the same tier. Let's take all of our hoplites into a big group, and let's just move them. This should be easily out of range of the towers, but it's a little bit overdone. Does this work? I think that kind of puts us in range of the tower a bit, so let's try going as far in this direction as possible, staying well away from the towers. I'm actually going to take these guys, I'm going to drop the ram with these, fire at will, and we're going to move in this direction. I'm going to see if we can just about get these guys in range, soften them up a bit before we go in. The levy pikemen are pulling back. Could break through the walls, but I think they're probably going to stay pretty defensive here, so we probably don't need these rams. Let's actually drop both of these. And then those guys are now not moving, let's just move them to the front. That just leaves the Peltas, who are carrying the actual ram, the barbarian cav, who aren't going to make too much of a difference, and our generals, who we're going to leave just in the front. Okay, so let's speed this up.
The enemy gate is down! Our battering ram has done its work!
I don't think these guys have quite enough range, but we do have our Peltas here as well. And they should be free too, so let's just move them in this direction as well. Let's see if these guys can do it. Yeah, clearly just slightly out of range. If I go right up against the walls, I feel like that's not really going to work either. Okay, so it's got to be the hoplites going in first, so let's send these guys up to the front. Moving through the gates, there's a bit of a risk, but these guys aren't actually too close to us, so we should be okay. The Peltas are pretty close. I feel like we can probably make this work. Let's just speed this up, see if they're in range. So the pirates actually can fire on them. The Peltas can as well. So we've softened them up nicely. We've taken out about a quarter of their men so far. These guys are all getting ready. Should be good just to go straight in with 4 units. If these guys come towards us, there's 100 men. Not too threatening. They are kind of coming around. Some militia hoplites charging towards us, some levy pikemen, and then the general's bodyguard is currently not coming towards us, so I'm not too worried about these. They're not going to do too much damage to us. We should have quite a lot of men in by the time they engage, but if they're going to go in this direction, then we probably need to face them. And then we've got a pretty clear path just straight through to the town square, but still should probably deal with the units first. These guys are pretty much done. They're not really going to do anything useful at this point. The pirates maybe could, but Peltas definitely not. The rest of these guys, we might as well bring them in. We have definitely more than we need. Let's see, so militia hoplites are staying in place. The other militia hoplites clearly coming towards us. Clearly intent on engaging. Still not got our full forces here, so let's hope we can form up in time. Looks like these guys are going to go into 2 units at once. Hopefully that's going to be in our favour for that reason. Let's just go in, both units at the same time. Hopefully we'll get some kind of flanking bonus on these, as they've actually not got themselves in a good formation, and they do drop their spears, but we've already engaged. Our spears are actually not down either. Let's try this again. This should be fine. Even with the difficulty settings, our units are clearly superior, and militia hoplites, of course, nigh on 0 morale, so they do break very quickly, and then they try to flee back to the town square, but their only way to do that, or the obvious way to do that, according to the AI, is straight through our units. So that's perfect. Okay, so this next unit we should be okay to take on as well. I didn't do that right because I pressed the wrong button, so we've engaged a bit too soon. Not sure what's going on here, but we do break these just as easily, so that's fine. We've taken pretty much no losses from that. Okay, so let's see, the general has fallen back to the town square, militia hoplites in the town square too, so 2 units in there, the levy pikemen, militia hoplites, and then the general's bodyguard. We just push in with lots of hoplites at once, we should be fine. Let's send our weakened ones in first. We've got quite a few with 2 experience, which should probably go in first as well. Let's just check they're roughly close together. And let's speed this up. Yeah, not too worried about this. There's not really too much that can go wrong. We've got our faction leader too. Gonna leave these guys here just in case somehow something comes around. It's extremely unlikely, but we've clearly got enough in this part of the map. Okay, so let's just move right up to the front of the town square. We can engage them slightly outside the town square, that would be ideal. Just so we can actually try and rout them, as these guys have actually come into us. So this should be okay, just because of our general's command stars and the backup unit coming in. This is not the strongest of their bodyguards, but we will lose probably this first unit of hoplites by the looks of it. Although, they're actually broken, and their general's dead. Okay, I think this first unit's done its job. Let's pull it back, because it's pretty likely to actually rout at this point. And then, in the town square, let's take the rest of these units. Try and bring them up. This doesn't tend to work out when I try to do this, I don't know why. I think it's because as soon as an actual soldier actually makes contact with the town square, yeah, that happens. And then suddenly you have a problem on your hands. Okay, so these guys are probably going to come towards us, but we're looking kind of okay for now. We're going to try and form up on both sides. Should have a couple more units that can come up too. It's going to give this as long as it needs. Speed this up. Don't think they're going to actually engage us now. Let's try this. That should be a strong push. It's not a perfect surround, but we should outnumber them so heavily that we should break them pretty quickly. Let's bring these up too. With the exception of these, who can go back. Okay, so these guys have actually engaged. Let's slow this down. Let's make sure we're actually in phalanx position. We are taking a few losses. You guys should be able to engage from there. And then we've got a lot of units here who should be able to move in on the levy pikemen, although probably should have waited until this fight is over. Make sure we drop our spears. There we go, another layer of spears goes down. And I'm sure we're taking some losses. Yeah, we're taking a few losses. Hopefully they're taking more. They're saying the odds are against them. At this point, we're close enough that the lack of reach on our spears shouldn't be an issue. This unit is pretty much completely destroyed. I'm actually try and engage these on the other stack instead. Yeah, because 14 men there, we should be able to handle them completely fine. And if we can flank these, it's going to do a real number on them. Okay, 6 men left there, and on this one, 70 men left. We've taken quite a few losses, but I think that's fine. Speed this up.
This is a heroic.
Took him a moment, but there we go. Alright, so we still got way more kills than losses. I'm sure we took a few losses there, but nothing too bad. Most of our units did fine. Okay, same approach as usual. We're just going to go for extermination, keep it simple. And Tarsus is immediately quite happy. And we can indeed just straight up retrain all of these. Let's actually fuse a few together. Just to keep the queues short. Let me try just undoing all of this. Oh, okay, so it's actually offering to retrain the ones with 160 as well. Okay, so the main thing is, of course, just to get the numbers back. We don't need to worry too much about actual upgrades to the units. We will upgrade the generals for the blacksmith upgrades, and we will just get some fresh hoplites too. And we're pretty much going to start off the next turn even stronger, so that's perfect. Let's go for a port for the trade, although There is actually a very strong navy lurking just outside of Tarsus, which will blockade us, but I'm still tempted just to go for the port, just because it makes so much money. A large mine's not really needed. Yeah, I think port should be fine. Okay, so this spy we're going to move on to Antioch. Let's see if we can get in. 75% chance of success, that should be fine. Mazaka could be attacked by this stuff, but these guys are actually staying very still. I'm not sure they're actually going to go for me. Okay, so elsewhere we got 9k left to spend, so let's just spend it wherever we can. So in Masana we can build. Let's go for Temple of Hermes. Let's actually open up the trade window so we can actually check what our buildings are doing. And let's just have a jump through. So this town is already building some archers. Croton can build some kind of unit, so let's just go for peasants as usual. And let's just keep going through. So this town's busy. Campus Getae, we could go for a war against Scythia. It's definitely doable. They're looking pretty weak too. Maybe we just do it. I know, like, I'm being a complete warmonger, but while these units are pretty bad, that's the downside. We've got a few decent units here. I guess we could kind of fuse some of these together. Bastani mercenaries. Let's just do that. Okay, so we take these forces, and then all of the actual healthy professional armies. I'm going to move them up to the bridge. And I'm just going to see what we actually have. So we're going to take all of these as well. Cretians, our next general, and maybe 1 or 2 units of Peltasts. Send all of these up. So this force is okay. I'm not sure it's quite good enough. It's not able to reach the town either way. So perhaps we just train up 1 more unit of hoplites and... well, this clearly can't deal with us. But yeah, for now we're going to stay here and we could launch our war on Scythia next turn. We've got a runner for our faction leader. He's pretty old, so perhaps we should actually move these around. If I can actually remember how that works. Move followers, here we go. So the runner, we're just going to send somewhere else. So we've got a runner on this guy. Let me just figure out how this works. Here we go, Memnon of Sparta, 41 years old. I've eventually figured out how it works, so we're going to click on this guy. That is the runner from our faction leader. Take him 3 turns to get across, and that's going to slightly improve him. Okay, so that's done. We could actually move straight on from Tarsus, that is actually an option. But no, I think taking 1 turn to recover does make sense. And then jumping back to this, we're going to go to Sparta, we're going to pick up armoured hoplites as usual. In Athens, we're going to pick up some archers, and in Corinth, let's go for a trireme. And I could actually keep building ships in this part of the world too, just because we know the Seleucids do have a strong navy, and I guess there's no real downside to that, so let's just do it. Pergamum can only really recruit biremes, which aren't going to help us too much. Tylis can recruit triremes as well. Tempted to go for this guy just because he's causing devastation. Can I actually retrain these? No, so I can't retrain hoplites in this town, so let's send them up to Campus Getae. Send these guys into the town so we can potentially use them against the rebels. And we've still got 5k left to spend, so let's just open up the settlement scroll. Let's just go through. So Pergamum and Rhodes are both free to build. So in Rhodes, we're going to go for... I guess we could go for Rhodes in Rhodes, but the issue is, I don't know if paid roads on an island actually improve trade at all. Kind of feel like intuitively they shouldn't, but they might, so I'm not really sure what to think of that. Pergamum, we could just go for a shipwright. Let's just do it. Let's just spend the money. We do, of course, have plenty of money to spend if we need to. Athens, going for paid roads. I think I did check this one before I started recording. I'll go back and check on that in a second. Byzantium, we're going to go for a trader. And then Halicarnassus. I'm going to go for the Shrine to Hermes, as we usually do. Sardis, we're just going to go for militia barracks. And now, if we jump back to Athens, I think this is exactly the example I had in mind. Yeah, 340 extra income per turn, just from paved roads, which only cost 1,200. That pays for itself in less than 4 turns. So paved roads can be pretty good. I don't know entirely what governs it. I've never really quite demystified trade in this game. Sometimes it does confuse me a bit, but clearly paved roads are definitely worth it in that case, so we're just going to go for them. Apollonia, we're going to go for some more ships, although I think that's the Mon that can do that. There we go, that's all of our money spent. We're besieging that. I don't think there's anywhere else we're going to expand just yet. Could step out of Sinope. But no, we're just going to end the turn. We're going to see what happens.
Let us now talk reasonably.
I'm actually kind of tempted by this. I'm guessing they won't accept this. I've never seen accept or we will attack actually working. Don't think it makes any difference really. We've spent all of our money, so they're not going to accept this. Could end the bloodshed, but there's no real reason to stop. We're making a strong push in that direction. There's a few strong armies around, but nothing too intimidating. I will ask them for this. I don't think they'll accept. There we go, that's fine. We'll just say no to that. And they're actually bringing all these forces down together into one massive force. This could be interesting. I mean, this is a lot. Going for our faction leader. It's a lot of men. It's not high quality units, but the faction leader doesn't actually have great units either. Just basic hoplites. New candidate for adoption, 25 years old, 3 command stars. Let's just do it. Don't need to think about that. He pops up in Campus Getae. That's fine, we can use him for our war against Scythia. I'm just going to do this. We can go straight in. Let's have a think about that. First, let's join these up. Let's send our new general up too. And that is now a full force. Should be very easy to go through and take that out. There's no family member in there. Before we do that, let's go for the Scipii. This is their final town. It's got the faction leader Juliana Scipio. Otherwise, just 2 units. Should be pretty straightforward. Let's wipe them out. Okay, so it's not too easy to get to the town square. It's right in this corner. We only have the option of deploying either on this side or on this side. Neither of these have great access. This is kind of straight. But you still have to kind of navigate around this little block. And there are arrow towers. I think we should be fine either way. There's almost no units in there, so it shouldn't really be an issue. Cretan archers should not have these. Those should go to our lowest value units, so I think Samnite mercenaries are the obvious example. We might need our rams, because if there's a strong guard there, I wouldn't really want to send in any kind of hoplite against Principes. Unless I could actually fully engage, but if it's just going to be trickling in through the gate, it's not going to be enough. So, going to keep an open mind. I'm going to keep our archers in reserve, just in case we want to break open the walls as well. As we clearly have a lot of hoplites in a big row. Let's just stick them behind. Start the battle. Okay, so at the front they've got some Principes, and in the town square they've got their faction leader, who's going to be the biggest challenge, and some Velites, who are not going to be much of a threat. Okay, so these guys are definitely in range of our archers. Let's go and do some damage to them. I am going to drop the ram. We should be fine. If we soften these up enough, we can probably just go straight in with some armored hoplites. Okay, so there we go, immediately able to fire on the Principes, who are immediately backing off. They've already lost a lot of men. I'm not sure how much damage we can really do to them before they actually just move too far away, but they're actually starting to move back. Actually slightly out of range of our normal archers. Move these guys a little bit closer. Need to be a bit careful of the watchtower. But yeah, these guys, we should be able to weaken them enough that they're not going to threaten us too much. These guys are probably going to be forced into an arcing shot, but I don't really mind that too much. Let's try this. Yeah, we're going for the arcing shot, which is less accurate, but there aren't too many units in general that we're going to be going up against. A little bit of friendly fire there. Let's move back. Bring in some armored hoplites. Yeah, slight risk of friendly fire, but I think it's worth it. Don't really mind if we lose the Samnite mercenaries. Let's speed this up.
The enemy gate is down! Our battering ram has done its work!
Okay, they've lost quite a few men. They don't tend to come outside of the gate. Just keep weakening them. I should probably try and save some of my ammo for the faction leader. I thought they thought about it then. Still not going for it. Okay, I'm going to try and save the Cretians' ammo, so we're going to tell them to stop. Tell them to stop firing at will. And there's actually some friendly fire there. That's really annoying. I knew that was about to happen. Down to 56 men. Still got most of our ammo left. Gonna send the Samnite mercenaries in first, because if they get attacked out of formation, it's not a big deal.
Gods! Our soldiers have done well this day. The walls are taken!
There we go, that seems pretty safe. They are going to come towards us. So these are spearmen, I believe, which means they do get a damage penalty against sword units like Principes. Only 56 of them though. If we charge them, they might break. They are shaken. They are being attacked by flaming ammo as well, which does scare them. Okay, here we go. If we lose these, it's fine. Just trying to buy some time. You guys need to stop firing. Yeah, there's definitely some friendly fire going on there. There we go, we break the Principes, so let's just try and run them down. And then all they've got left is the faction leader, who is a bit of a threat, and some Velites. Need to make sure I get my units in quickly. Yeah, Velite is not a threat at all, but if this guy charges our armored hoplites before they're in, that could be an issue. Let's try this. I don't think he's going to come for us, but he's close. 29 of these left. He's actually moving away from us, that's fine. I'm going to bring the general in. And let's speed this up. General turns around, I will turn back, but for now, we are just getting some free kills. As he's fallen all the way back to the town square. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's move up as close as we can, and then we're just going to try and fire on him with our archers as much as possible. And hopefully avoid engaging until we're fully in position, and have spent as much ammo as possible. Okay, here we go. So the natural formation is a bit of a mess. If we can spread out at all, that would be much better. Let's try moving that a little bit closer. And we've got our archers in behind. I would think that 4 units should be enough. They are coming in with their Velites. I might have to fire on them. I don't really want to. If they charge us with a general, that's fine. That's kind of what we want. But if we just have to stand here and get shot by the Velites, that's kind of an issue. Does this work? I'm reluctant to disturb this formation because it does seem okay, but I'm going to try going slightly closer. And then I'm going to send these guys to fire on these. Cretians should be okay to fire on these. I'm going to have the normal archers fire on the Velites. And these guys just need to form up as much of a phalanx as possible, and I'm going to bring the Samnites up just to... That's the wrong one. You guys need to stop. Are they going for us? Not yet. Pretty sure, yeah, the Velites are about to fire on us. These guys just need to fire without moving, if they can. I'm not sure where these guys are going. Let's try and bring them back round. Julianus Scipio is going for the charge. Let's make sure we drop our spears, and let's try and kill them off as quickly as possible. Slight risk of friendly fire, but I think we just go for it. Let's see what's going on. So, spears are partly dropped. We're going to try that again, because it's not looking too good. You can see normal hoplites with their spears down. Armored hoplites, a little bit messy. Taking a few losses. Our hoplites on this side, taking heavy losses. Velites have 131 men left, and the Roman general is still doing pretty well. He's got 55 men left. I'd say this is fine as it is. We'll take a few losses, but clearly winning. I'm going to stop these guys from firing. and I think the Cretians too. Going to be doing more harm than good. Let's move them back. Let's bring the general in just for morale. I don't think we need him, but still. Okay, so Julianus Scipio is shaken. He's down to 20 men, and we've taken a few losses, but Julianus does go down, I think. Not sure what that was. I think the game thought he was going to die, but then he somehow survived. Not sure where he is. There we go. He goes down. He's going to try and flee. The remainder of his men are going to try and flee into the town, but looks like we do manage to finish them off, which means should be good just to rush the Velites at this point. I'm not sure how it works because their flag is outside of the town square, but their men, the bulk of their men are still in the town square, so I'm not sure if they can actually rout. But at this point, should be a case of just pushing in. They're engaging us in melee, which is no problem at all. Let's just speed this up and finish them off. And yeah, that's the Scipii down. The Julii should be the toughest. They should definitely be the toughest because they've actually had time to expand. Both the Brutii and the Scipii were distracted for the entire campaign so far just on trying to take Sicily from us. But the Julii have actually had a chance. So it should be interesting to actually see what they have. I know I sent a ship up along the coast a couple of episodes ago, but what I didn't notice at the time was an army did pop up, but I didn't look at it closely enough or for long enough to actually see what was in it. So I don't know how strong it was. But yeah, there we go. House of Scipii is down. So next thing to do, of course, is to march on Rome. They've got a full stack in there, but it's pre-Marian units. So, I mean, we could go for it. We could go for it this turn. I guess the thing I want to do first is make sure that we merge as many losses as possible into the same unit. Okay. Still got a few more we can spread around. Alright, so in this town I'm assuming that we can just train them straight up, which we can. So we're going to retrain these, we're going to retrain these, and we're going to train these. And then we take the rest of these units. Public order is 95%. So let's experiment with this. So the units we need to retrain are these, and that's it. If we step out of the town, I'm guessing that completely screws the public order. Yeah, 10%. So if we send these back, 20%. Not confident about this. 35. Try 2 more. 65%. So at that point they should actually be okay. We can just build some kind of shrine. I think I do want to go shrine to Nike. Okay, so unfortunately we don't have a spy, which means we can't just break it open. We do have to besiege it. This guy would probably come back and attack us. So we'd have these two forces at the same time coming to take on these. These are very elite, but even so, we would obviously be outnumbered. No new mercenaries. I kind of feel like we could get away with it, but it might be a little bit over the top. It's so tempting. If we lose, then we go back to Capua, and we should be able to just retrain. We shouldn't lose all our units. We've also got our ships here, which means we can retreat into those. Let's go for it. Yeah, that should be fine. Okay, so we know we've destroyed the Scipii, we've gone to war with Scythia. Ceasefire between Parthia and the Seleucid Empire. Scipii agent has been found in Messana, but they're officially dead now. They still got their general, this particular force, just to the north. It's kind of annoying, but it's not going to actually besiege us. So I think we just ignore that. We're going to train up some more hoplites, some more armored hoplites, and Lilybine's looking okay now. I think we definitely want to port here. If we buy a port in Lilybeim, we should be able to actually make the sail across to Carthage in one turn. So even if our ships get destroyed, our actual land units should be completely safe. I think that should be fine. I'm not confident we can actually step out of this town still, so I'm going to go for another unit of peasants. And I would like to deal with these, but it's just not really worth the effort. Okay, so Capra's training all of that stuff. We're going to send these forces to the west. So 106% public order. We need to decide what we can leave behind. I think we leave the mercenary hoplites. Okay, still 106%, that's good. Still 96. And that takes it down to 61. Okay, so one of these has to go back. There we go, 76%. We're going to bring these guys up to Capua just in case something goes wrong. Going to take on Lucius Scipio. And we still got 20k left to spend, so back in Croton. Let's go for some more peasants, and actually, if we just move some peasants up, that does give us some more freedom, just to move a few more units up in this direction. I'm not sure why those guys can't join up. Oh, it's because they stepped out of the town and back in. Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna join up with these, and that's back down to 76%, but we can just send some more peasants up, problem solved. Then we've got all of these guys. Could wait for these to join up, but I think at this point, just going to send these ships immediately to the west. We're going to stop off by Apollonia first. And we're going to pick up all of these. Then we'll go across to this, and then we could drop them off on the shore, or we could go to the north instead. Go straight for the Julii. We've only got 2 ships though, 3 ships in fact. It's not quite enough. Okay, so 20k to spend. Let's just jump through our towns and spend as much as we can. So Sparta as usual. I think I'm going to start actually queuing up multiple units at once just to save time. So let's go with 3 in Sparta. Rhodes, we're going to go for Byrrhum. Vermont, we're going to go for Militia Cav. Apollonia, we're going to go and retrain some peasants. And Larissa, we're going to go for hoplites. Athens for archers. Byzantium for hoplites. Corinth, we're going to go with a trireme, and Halicarnassus, probably just leave it B. Greek Cav in Thessalonica, Sardis will leave B. Kydonia should be fine. Belazora, we're going to go for some hoplites. Hylas for Militia Cav, because those are pretty good against the Scythians. Masaka, we're going to go for some hoplites, and Poralisum for some Greek Cav. Still got 14k left to spend, so we're going to have to splash it out on actual buildings. Let's go for some armored hoplites in Tarentum. This town, we're going to go for some hoplites. Campus Getae for some hoplites. In Sinope, we're going to go for archers. Tarsus, we're going to go for some more hoplites. And let's retrain all of these. Although, could step out of the town. But yeah, there's a big force coming towards us, so might be better to stay defensive. I feel like we could deal with it. I'm just going to step this guy out just to see what's here. Okay, so no new mercs. There should be mercenaries back in this pool at this point. So Cretan archers and things like that. So I wouldn't mind actually picking those up. If we actually had a free family member, I would do that, but we don't really. We do have a governor in Sparta, but I don't really want to send him across. Okay, so next thing to do is just to buy some buildings, so let's go to Sparta. We do want to build up the population here, but I think at this rate, we will never actually be able to recruit Spartan hoplites in Sparta because we need 12,000 population. Our population is just not growing that fast. Market will improve population growth a bit, but I think the campaign is just progressing too quickly that we might not ever really make it. Syracuse is another one. 8,000 pop here, which is a bit more achievable. So let's go for Trader. We might be able to build Spartan hoplites at some point, but I think it's kind of unlikely because we still need to build the new barracks. I can't really see it working. Halicarnassus, I will go for basic barracks. Belazora, just going to go for Trader. And we've still got 8k left to spend, so another thing I could do is I could just start saving money so we can start doing bribes. I am tempted by that. But I'm not sure how many towns can actually train up diplomats, but Sardis can. So let's get one in that town. And then we've got 8k left to spend. I think as long as our main military towns are all producing, we should be fine. I think Tarentum, we should go for the next level of temple. And at this point, I think we're good to go. We can of course launch our attack on Scythia. So let's do it. Massively in our favor, we've got 3 generals. They have got archers, and they have got horse archers, but in a siege situation, there's pretty much nothing they can do about hoplites, so I think it's just going to be a case of pushing in as quickly as possible. Okay, so it's this exact same layout we've seen a few times. A little bit of danger. But I think even Axemen, if we just go in with the Bastani first, even Axemen shouldn't be able to stop us. And then let's make sure our Cretians are able to fire but not actually going to be targeted themselves. Problem with Bastani is they do struggle a lot with missile fire. So perhaps I'm going to try and use these guys as bait instead. Then we'll group up the hoplites, and if everything else fails, the hoplites should just be able to go in and finish things off. Okay, so let's see. So at the front they've got some Axemen. This is pretty much exactly what we need the Bastani for. We send our hoplites in, they'll be out of formation, and they're going to get hurt, but should be able to take on Axemen. That should be fine, as long as we go for the war cry. Move the hoplites up. Sarmatian cavalry could do a job too. It's war cry. And let's just go straight in. So Axemen are not armor piercing, which wouldn't really make a difference for Bastani either way. Obviously they're topless men, so not much armor to pierce, but still, Axemen, they have good morale, but otherwise they're not really a unit that I think very highly of. Something's going wrong here. They should be going in a bit more seriously than that. I'm going to try and run them in, but it's a little bit risky. I'm not sure how I feel about this. They seem eager enough. Balance of forces is even. These units are superior, but yeah, I'm not completely confident. I'm gonna try sending in the hoplites if we can. Hopefully they can at least finish them off. We got our new general, and if he dies, it's probably fine. I might send him in. If he doesn't die, he will get his units back. Whereas the Sarmatians are just not going to come back if they die. Okay, they're saying defeat is almost a certainty, so Bastani are doing completely fine. Let's speed this up. Okay, Axemen are wavering, Bastani is still eager. So next up is in the town square, they've got their horse cav and horse archers, and their warhounds. Warhounds obviously not too much of a threat once you actually take out the dogs. I think Bastani alone could probably do this, but the problem with Bastani is they will just take a lot of damage from the horse archers. The Axemen are going to break. I'm going to take these guys out of phalanx formation, and I'm just going to rush them in. Because if these guys are going to fire on anyone, I want them to go for units with no shield. Or with as much of a shield as possible, I should say. Yeah, there we go. We've pretty much pushed them back. Could send these in. Sarmatian should do fine. This general should do fine too. Going to bring in our main general just for morale. I don't think he's going to be fired on. Bring in the Greek cav. Pretty bad units, but they are good for a surround. Grecians in too. And yeah, that's got to be enough. So the Axemen have pretty much got away. The Scythian horse archers are not yet firing, but I'm pretty sure they will soon. Need to be a bit careful with the Bastani, they could be killed. And if they get routed, it could cause some problems. Let's see. Yeah, Scythian horse archers are now firing on us, so if we can just get in there as quickly as possible, we can at least try and trigger some friendly fire. I'm not sure what's going on here. Why are they running in the opposite direction? And they're exhausted too, so I'm not even sure I want to risk that. I'm gonna drop my spears and just move in. Vistani are going in. They're exhausted, but these guys should be too. No, they're just tired. This is probably the worst possible outcome, is just having pathfinding issues as we go into the town square while being shot at. They've actually got Archer Warband too, so they did have an extra unit. Archer Warband, of course, will be fine. What is going on? This is really bad. This is one of the worst I've seen. We just need to get to the town square. We easily win in melee, but if our units don't engage, that's an issue. Okay, let's drop our spears. No, they're still running in the opposite direction. If we go for the Archer Warband, they're at least closer to us. No, our first units are going to rout. This is bad. This is really bad. And this is... I think on the whole I've been generous to this game, but like this is stupid. Sometimes situations happen that are just really obviously stupid, like the units just did not charge. Okay, we're gonna have to deal with the general. We're gonna send in the general. He might get killed, but if he dies, it's not really a big issue. He's a new guy. He's not gonna be too important to us. Summation mercenaries, if we lose them, again, not the end of the world. They are good for chasing down horse archers, but at this point, just need to make sure this doesn't become a mass rout situation. Let's bring the actual general up. Cretan archers are streaming in. Here we go. Archer Warband are broken. Perfect. So I'm reluctant to even press anything now because I want to make sure we actually keep chasing them down and don't start running in the opposite direction. So Warhounds are about to be released. I'm not really sure how well forces actually deal with those. I'm getting the impression not too well. Vistani are both routing. And they're being chased by the dogs. Okay, I'm just gonna run away from them. The dogs are gonna follow us out. If we can just finish off their handlers, that's fine. Just gonna have to rush everyone in. Okay, these guys are on their way out, but they're not routing, so that's fine. As long as they don't rout, I'm not too worried about that. So we've got Tarsus here. That's not the right type of unit. Our family member has died. Okay, that's fine. Kind of accepted that might happen. Just got to keep pushing in. And want to make sure these dogs don't catch up to our Cretians, so let's try and attack them with these. Hopefully we can win that one. Try and keep our Cretians away. Okay, so back in the town square, we've got our bodyguard pushing through. Lots of Greek cav just pushing in. Not a good unit, but against horse archers in melee combat, should be fine. Okay.
The enemy general is slain, and now his men fear us. It is time to press the attack.
We took quite a few losses.
The enemy army is in flight.
But
Gods be praised.
grand scheme of things, I mean, it could have gone worse. It could have become a mass rout. But yeah, there was something clearly went wrong with the pathfinding there. And for the most part, I just try and put up with that because it's still a good game. It's just the pathfinding in settlements is just not right. Something's not right. And that's the case in the original Rome as well, and it's still one of my favorite games ever, but it does get a bit annoying with the pathfinding in settlements. I really prefer battles on the open field. I think that's probably a common opinion. But yeah, we're going to exterminate that, and they're still not too happy with us, so definitely the right decision. We're going to go for paved roads because that might actually help us move through more quickly. We're going to retrain all of these. So the good news is we can train hoplites immediately. We can also go for militia cav. But no, I think hoplites are going to be fine. We would get really badly damaged by horse archers, but yeah, I think that's fine. Okay, so any really weak units, let's just send them away. So we've got our Bastani mercenaries, 85 men. They're not going to do well against the Scythians, so I'm going to send them to the west. And then the rest of this stuff I think is fine. Let's send these up. And yeah, okay, so we've got 9k left to spend. We've acquired a new merchant. Let's see where he is. Okay, so that's this one. I think the main thing to do with this guy is just send him somewhere he's not going to die. So potential merchant income, 43 per turn.
Acquiring goods.
Let's just go for it. Yeah, okay, so we lost our family member, as we know. That's fine, he was new. It doesn't really matter too much if we lost him. Okay, so next thing to do is, we know that Dacia is to the north, but the next Scythian town, there's one in Crimea, and then there's one up in this part of the world, I think, but I'm not sure where, so that's what I'm going to look for next. Yeah, that should be fine. Okay, well I think we've done enough for this part, so thanks for watching guys, I hope you enjoyed. In the next part, we could be taking on Rome. I'm not going to say we could be taking Rome, because maybe that's not in our favour. Quite a few good units there, but we've got lots of armoured hoplites, so I think it all boils down to how well armoured hoplites actually do in this situation where they're outnumbered. If they don't come to attack us, we should be okay because we can just send some more reinforcements, but for now, public order situation Capua is just not good enough, so we need to stay back for now. I should have waited for a turn, to be honest. I got a bit overconfident, but we'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, thanks for watching guys, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.